Hey guys, it's midday here, about 90 degrees, so I'm in the shade because I definitely need it. Otherwise, I would be burning, and a black shirt too. So, but I'd like to share my knowledge and experience gained from this lack of self-pleasure, this NoFap, right? And the esoterica behind it, really. So, really what it is this buildup of energy inside you, right? Because we're so used to depleting ourselves constantly through this constant seeking for self-gratification, for pleasure, right? Because we're used to really defining happiness more so as pleasure. I think maybe we should start with that, right? We believe that happiness is in the next moment of pleasure, usually, right? For most people that are unawakened, so we try to fill this void because pleasure is an external validator, right? It's something we experience externally, and we seek this pleasure, whether it's through, like I said, relapsing foods, experiences, adrenaline, relationships, material gains, these things. But these are all just in the realm of the ego, right? The material illusion and the realm of Rahu, as some of you may have heard me talk about. And it's fleeting because it doesn't last. It's fleeting because it doesn't last. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. It always eludes us because it's short term, right? It's temporary. It's something that leaves us wanting more. It's like just a teaser. Whereas that eternal peace, eternal bliss comes from within, from self-satisfaction, from a reconnection to, the earth, ourselves, source, because we are part of that source. And every time we seek to kind of feel that pleasure in our body again, that orgasmic pleasure, let's say, we've been kind of trained to do it in a depletionary form, right? And this really kind of goes back to our subconscious beliefs and our subconscious programming, because there's a story that way back when we were altered genetically and still kind of are being done, we were implanted with this thing called the Kunda buffer, and that's potentially where the word Kundalini comes from. But the Kunda buffer is just that, it's a buffer. Many beings were actually taking their own lives because they weren't really having much happiness, much pleasure, right, in this outside world. So when we were first altered, for the purpose of our spiritual evolution, or potentially negative purposes as well, potentially even some sort of slave species, we weren't lasting very long, right? Our lifespans were just falling off a cliff because we were literally falling off cliffs as well, right? We were killing ourselves. And, by installing this Kunda buffer, now all of a sudden we have a sense of pleasure. And, it's fleeting, so we seek more of it, and we have a reason sort of to live, right? Because we were very much 3D and not necessarily on our path of spiritual awakening yet. We were just kind of going through the motions, and we're wondering, like, what's the point of this, potentially. And this Kunda buffer potentially is in the way of our spiritual enlightenment, of our Kundalini actually rising. And who knows if it even is called the Kundalini, but there is undoubtedly this energy inside us equating to creative energy and sexual energy, right? Source energy that is talked about in allegory in the Bible. It's presented in many other ways and many other stories that will kind of lead us to the path, bring us to the land of milk and honey. And that's what this is. It's a chrism that rises every month when the moon enters your your sun sign. Now, you guys all probably know the way I feel about the moon right now, and I'll probably end up making a video about that as well at some point. But you know, this moon kind of has been regulating our emotions, or hormones, or our body, our mental thoughts, our mental body, and our astral body even, potentially. And you know, it kind of basically says, hey, at this time, so for example, you're an Aries sun, and this works for both tropical and Vedic, because it would be the same time, they would correlate, right? I think, yeah. But let's say from an astronomical Vedic also perspective, you're born in Aries, which is like April 19th onwards, so let's say April 20th, 420. You're born Aries, their sun sign is in Aries, and then when the moon, you see the moon looking up at the sky, that enters in Aries, also from a Vedic perspective, right? Keep the system similar. At that point in time, your body then starts to secrete this oily substance in your brain. It's the pineal and pituitary gland, milk and honey, working together to drop this like candlelight into the pool of your built-up energy, right? Which is analogous to the Kundalini, right? So in that pool, which is at the base of your spine, if that has been constantly depleted through, you know, various self-pleasure practices, there will be kind of no spark, right? It's kind of like, is it the way an engine works? You know, the pistons feeding the fuel, right? Pistons feed the fuel with air, I believe, or fuel with air. There's a fuel and air combination there which creates a spark. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. So that's, you know, there's no spark created if there's no pool there, and that pool is built up through literally just saving the energy. You don't really have to do much. You just have to let the energy rise, because since we're so used to giving it away, we've been programmed to, you know, deplete it. And you also, in combination with this, will want to cleanse your body, right? Because otherwise you will experience some negative symptoms, kind of similar, very similar to ascension symptoms, very similar to symptoms experienced when you're fasting, right? So when the body is trying to, or the soul, spirit is trying to elevate, but the body isn't yet a match to it, it will be kind of lagging, right? So then it will forcibly bring stuff to the surface for you to deal with. For example, aches, pains, you know, those are some of the like physical manifestations, whatever, skin issues, I don't know. But it can also be deeply emotional and traumatic, right? Things that you haven't dealt with. For example, even the 7 sins, right? Those urges that are still pulling on you, the negative entities attached to each of those sins that are still drawing your energy in that way, right? So how are you losing your energy? Are you losing your energy through lust? Okay, well, if that's not dealt with, you will experience that to a higher degree, enormously higher, right? So when people save their energy, specifically men, usually this is a greater urge for men, but it can definitely happen for females as well, they'll experience a stronger urge to have sex. Why? Because they've been kind of avoiding that urge through, you know, pleasure, self-pleasure, right? Oh, I want to have sex, but I'm good now. I'm good, right? I can think clearly now. Now that I've released, I'm good. I'm okay. That went away. That desire went away. I don't have to deal with it, right? But you know, when we don't, we just want it more and more and more. The desire fulfills, or the desire strengthens even more. It kind of like that entity's strongest attempt to get what it needs. It will push your button. It will push your button again and again and again and again, because it's dying. It's not getting the nourishment that it usually gets from you through that practice, right? So, you know, people will experience a greater sense of this urge. Personally, for me, I've also experienced that, It can also manifest in the form of anger, rage. So one of my ancestral karmas is anger, this deep-rooted anger and rage, especially in competitive environments. And this is also reflected in my astrology. And when the testosterone increases, especially, which is especially true for NoFap, it makes you much more ambitious, much more driven, and angry, even if you haven't really dealt with that. So that will come to the surface. That will say, hey, have you dealt with this, right? This is still a problem. These are signals from your body that are telling you to acknowledge it, to notice it, right? And you can never really just through willpower neglect or rather tell yourself not to engage in it, because you haven't really made the decision yet to say, hey, okay, yes, I'm looking at a woman as an object for my personal gratification. I'm just gonna avoid that and not look at it, and maybe it'll go away, right? No, you have to fully dive into that and experience that and say, why am I doing that? What is holding me back from this? What belief system am I entertaining that I'm holding that I think will lead to my happiness if I do this, right? Is it the fact that I want a bunch of attention and I want as many girls to have sex with or to chase after because that's how I feel worthy, that's how I feel noticed and acknowledged and empowered? Is that what's doing it? Where is that coming from, right? But the more you kind of say, okay, yes, I acknowledge this, yes, it's fine, I'm dealing with this, the more the urge dissipates, right? So if you can really allow yourself to experience those emotions without giving into the urge, right? The urge will be strong, but the emotion is stronger. So, the 7 desires, the 7 sins, pride, right? Anger, sloth will pretty much go out the window because you'll have all this extra energy, so that'll be easy to deal with. That's automatically an easy A right there. But these extra things, it's like NoFap by itself won't get you far. It's shifting your whole perspective and then kind of letting the energy build up, or really at the same time if you can, right? If you're a good multitasker. But you're getting your body prepared, right? So eating cleaner. If you're going to, for example, eat a steak every single day, your body is stiff and low vibrational. It's being held down by that heaviness, heavy energy that it's still trying to process, right? So, if you think you're gonna fast for 3 days and then go out and eat a steak, well, that's probably doing much worse for your body. Same with NoFap. You think you're going to engage in lustful practices or any lower vibrational actions while maintaining this, it's not the way. It's just going to make it a lot harder for your path, right? You are your only obstacle. The rest are just practices that are really helping you. But on the positive, this will give you this enormous energy, right? It's this non-stop energy, and even your beliefs start to shift in a sense where you are now much more determined. You are more self-aware of what you're thinking, and you can overcome those hurdles, those mental hurdles that maybe were stopping you before from taking action. Self-doubt. A lot of self-doubt creeps in when we don't have that energy behind us saying, just go, just do it, right? Just push. And if it doesn't work, push somewhere else, right? Just keep walking in a sense. Keep pursuing your dreams, your ambitions. Of course, from a spiritual perspective, right? Not just from a oh, that's gonna make me happy, I need that, I want that, I want to be a billionaire, then a trillionaire, then, you know, things like that. But yes, so like I was saying, during the time the moon enters your star sign, that energy will rise a little bit, then it'll rise a little bit more, all depending kind of on the blockages are in your body, right? So that's why it's important to eat well, take care of your body, ground, be in nature, practice higher vibrational being, right? Don't let yourself give in to any negative self-talk or anything like that. Really being aware of your beliefs and things like that. But it rises and rises and rises through each chakra, really, and everything activates based on your current vibrational field. So if you're someone that's experiencing like a lot of lust, then that's where your vibration is. It's still stuck in that root chakra, and it's hard to elevate the kundalini, the energy, through NoFap, because the urges are still strongly there, and the beings are still feeding off you. These shadow entities that need external energy are still getting it from you, right? Your aura is opened enough, your practices, your actions, your being is allowing them to come in. It's inviting them. You're leaving the door wide open, right? And then you're wondering why you have all these people in your house. So sometimes, you know, when the body is unprepared and you may take up this practice, it can actually cause a spontaneous rise, because it's so not used to it. And then all these things start coming up. You may feel actually more depressed. You may feel like your thoughts are completely out of hand. You have no control because these things are being brought to the surface. Like I said, it's very similar to fasting. It's a purging of toxins from the body. So it may feel like that for a little bit, but you know, after a week, after 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, it gets much better, and the urges subside naturally if you are willing to give them up, right? If you're constantly maintaining them, they will not subside, right? All right, I don't want to make this video too long, but this has been my experience so far. You know, this is a deeply spiritual practice. It's not something that you can, you know, just say, I'm just gonna do it for the sake of doing it. It comes with growth, right? So if you're not willing to grow, don't do this. If you think, you know, it's kind of like a hack or something, it's not really. It is a bit, but not really, right? It's not. You're not gonna really hack anything. You're just gonna make it worse for yourself if you're not prepared. I was gonna make another point, but I forgot. But yeah, you really need to prepare your body because. Oh, also, yeah, this is the point I was gonna make. So, for example, many people will say, "Hey, well, I did it for X number of days, nothing happened." Yes, so it's like a lake, right? The lake is empty, it's dry, you can't drink water from it. If the lake is full, you can drink water from it. The common thing here, though, is that you're drinking water from it, or you're attempting to drink water from it, right? So you have all this energy built up. Now you have to learn how to draw from it through breath work, through meditation, through higher awareness, living inclinations towards things that are more aligned with your nature, through going out and starting something, initiating something, following your urge to create something. This is what drinking from the pool of your own energy means. Aligning yourself to love, right? You already start feeling more inclined to such actions, to being this way, right? Because you're short-circuiting those negative beliefs. You're creating new ones. You're creating a different path that you want to walk on, right? So you can, if you are still full of anger, this will only, like I said, accentuate that. You're feeding the energy towards anger, right? You're building energy and feeding it towards anger, right? It's kind of like steroids. Boom, extra testosterone, all these emotions you can't manage, and leads to outbursts, leads to inability to take action, or inability to control yourself, right? Okay, I think that's enough. If you guys enjoyed, give me a like, subscribe. Try to make a decent amount of videos about, these are just things that I learned myself, and I try to share my own knowledge from my own experiences. Okay, so have a good one. Hope, if you decide to experiment with this, hope it goes well, and good luck to all of you.